All right, welcome. It's Newspaper Review, and we have in the studio Mr. Nonso Orakwe, a public affairs commentator, to really help us look into some of our national dailies. Mr. Orakwe, welcome to the studio.
Thank you. It's nice being here.
And how was your weekend?
Oh, fantastic.
A lot happened over the weekend. We have lots of stories.
A lot of stories, a lot of activities, and, relating to church activities and all of that to blend life to what it's supposed to be.
You're welcome.
Thank you very much.
I think I really love that part relating to the church activities.
We begin with looking at stories on ABS website. The stories making the headlines there. First of all, Obiano receives more commendations on cordial relationship with federal government. Nigerian political class asked to promote moral standards to be role model to youths. 2019, Nigerian Army warns personnel against involvement in electoral malpractice. Anambra Health Commissioner Akabike restates need for regular medical check to promote healthy living. Let's begin with the first story there. You know what happened over the weekend where the sitting president visited Anambra State?
Well, it's a kind of welcome idea, but it's something that has to do with individualism, where you find something interesting and you get involved. You want to be part of the system. You want to retain the level of relationship with the people or with the leadership that be, so that maybe you don't want to lose one or two things at your area. So it's thing that people may comment and people may not really comment because of the level and the way Nigeria are today.
But we're just seeing commendations there.
Commendation. That's why I said people diversified mind. We have diversified opinion, and this people will comment and people will say, no, this is not ought to be because
of course, that's part of life.
So people will say, no, this not ought to be because of the level of the level of difficulties and all that is happening within the society, especially Nigeria in particular.
All right,
so I think it's a personal, it has to do with a personal thing.
All right, let's look at the Nigerian Army warning their personnel against involvement in electoral malpractice.
That should be when we are talking about warning army, or they're warning personnel.
They're warning their, warning his personnel, the boys.
The army personnel.
Yeah.
No, the warning is good, but then if only the center could maintain the status quo. We are in the era of democracy. And when we are talking about democracy, some of those security agencies will be restrained from the vicinity of election activities where election is taking place. I think they are very far. They should be very far from the vicinity of the elections. So if only the center, when I mean the center, I mean the FG.
But the armies are known to be disciplined.
They are, but in the recent democracy we are practicing in this country,
they ought not to be there.
They ought not to be there. So I've not even seen, even in the Electoral Act, where the security agencies, apart from police, without arms, even police with arms doesn't near the.
And I think that's exactly why the military are warning their boys, the personnel, that whatever happens, do not interfere in this election, because just maybe they actually have this idea that the personnel may want to in one way or the other.
Mine, I don't have issue with that, but let them be strict on it, because tomorrow we'll say, what's it called? Federal mites. And when we talk about federal mites, this is what you see, where the army personnel interferes and all of that, and nothing will happen. So if they are talking about being not involved in the elections and all of that, they should be very serious and let it not be politics.
Still on election matter here, Nigerian political class have been asked to promote moral standards to be role model to youths. Instead of using them, of course, as always, they should be role models. How do they intend to achieve this?
One of the Catholic when you want to be ordained as a priest or as a deacon, you will be asked to practice what you preach. Practice what you preach. So I relate that to our militaries and all of that. Practice what you preach. Just about 2 or 3 days ago at Ifite here, I saw small boys. I don't know, but I know the army personnel. What they are doing there is just not. It's nothing to write home about. Yeah. They just intimidating people, trying to mark K and bus drivers. Even someone that you blocked road, and someone was asking you, please shift so that other cars can have access to pass. You became angry and began to torture them and all of that, until people now came out en masse to react to it. So what I'm trying to say is this: practice what you preach. If any of the personnel's mass, treat him, punish him squarely. And I think that if they're encouraging young people, not to serve, that is wonderful. But let
lead by example.
Lead by example.
All right. The last one there talks about regular medical checks to promote healthy living, according to Anambra Health Commissioner. Actually, there was a time I did something on. I did a vox pop to find out how much people go for medical checks. You'll be amazed that our people is not what do I call it? It's not our way of life, for going for except you fall sick. Except when you are sick.
But who should we blame for that?
But the point is this: it's not been aware. Africans are. It's not only in Nigeria. Africans are used to that. Unless you fall sick, that is when you will go to hospital. Even myself. But last year, from around June, July, I was I was in a seminar where all these things were well stipulated. You mustn't be sick before you go to hospital. It's at least from time to time.
Especially at a particular age. There's a particular age, especially, but I think it's a very good thing, because most of these deadly diseases, when they are found out early, according to experts,
they can be handled.
It could be handled. So, all right, let's run for want of time. Let's now move to the first paper for review, the Daily Sun newspapers.
The story is making the headlines this morning. CJN on Nugent suspension, the big fight. PDP, APC square up in NAS. NJC, NBA, Senate meet. US, UK, EU misinformed. That's coming from the presidency. Finally, IGP Adamu retires 7 DIGs, AIGs. Federal government uncovers 66 illegal varsities, 68 police orders. Military exposes Boko Haram's new tactics. Elections, we are not supporting any candidate. U.S. reinstates. All right, the big story, CJN on Negan suspensions, the big fight. PDP and APC squares up in NAS.
Well, it's been ringing all this while. It's not a new story. But my take there is status quo should be returned. And the FG should do the needful. You see, when you want to take laws into your hands, then you are trying to send a signal that our democracy is not really working for us.
All right, let's see who is here before we move on. Hello.
Hello, good morning.
All right, go ahead.
So what I'm trying to say is this. It is the lawyers, I'm not a lawyer, and I won't sound like one, but what I'm trying to say, from a layman's understanding, you will understand that what we are seeing now is a battle between the two giants. And the two giants is APC and PDP. And now the people that suffers it is the mass. Now, the international organizations are taking you know, they are looking into it. They are concerned about what is happening in Nigeria because of the word democracy. If not democracy, they wouldn't have been interfering. So what I'm trying to say is this: as it is in the Constitution, from what I've seen in the Constitution, it is a wrong signal to suspend a sitting CJN. So what I'm trying to say is this: if we want to get it right, they should return to status quo and follow the due process.
All right, the program is audience participatory. Know that you can contribute by using the phone lines on your screen. All right, let's
check this story. Federal government uncovers 66 illegal
Actually, I was looking at that story. I said, in the first place, it was somebody that gave them, you know,
the license
to take off.
That is what Nigeria is. You know, are they graduating or they are matriculating into? You see, there are some news. It's only in Nigeria you get funny news. Over the years, these universities has been existing, and they've been doing their jam stuff, poly jam, and all of that to bring in candidates.
And probably a graduating
students. So most of them must have gone to service and, you know,
gotten jobs and
work. You understand? Some have traveled and engaged themselves in their self-reliance. So
why now? Why now?
That is a problem. So this is the country. In fact, we have a lot to do in this country. So it is now left for the what's it called? What's this institution that handles universities? I've forgotten.
ASU.
It's not ASU.
No.
There is this commission that handles university to look into it and know actually if these universities are falsely established. So the federal government should actually know each time they are giving us news, they should digest the news very well before releasing it. Because whether we like it or not, this thing is marring the integrity of this country.
All right, finally, IGP Adamu retires 7 DIGs and AIGs. Finally.
The retirement is not, it doesn't start today. The retirement, I don't know, is it based on they are qualified or they are due to be retired? Or they,
Just maybe.
You see, we need to consider if they are due to be retired or not due to be retired, because anything happens down is if you are rolling in your duties, eyes are watching you. If you are too sincere to be there, you'll be retired. You'll be retired. If you are not too sincere to be there, you will continue. So Nigeria is, I don't know, I don't want to paint Nigeria so black. But I believe that whatsoever that is happening in this country over 3.5 years, in fact, this thing started it became worse like 3 years ago or just within the leadership of APC. This when we have all this news, snakes swallowing money, all this nonsense are coming up.
All right, let's run. For want of time, the Daily Times newspaper is next on the review line with the big story that stakeholders decide on August fate this week. With riders there, NJC, Senate to meet on way forward. NBA summons crucial meeting at Serap, wants NJC to take over case. Down here we have presidency faults US, UK, EU on CJN's suspension. Federal government orders immediate crackdown on illegal tertiary institutions. INEC okays 144 observer groups for 2019 polls. APC plots violent takeover of NAS leadership. That's CUPP alleges. Let's begin with this story. INEC okays 144 observer groups for 2019 polls. You know, these observations, every year, during each election, we have observers. I don't know what these observers, their reports are used for. Well, do we really make use of them the way we should?
So far, so good on observers. So far, so good. I think I've once observed years back. But the good thing about observing is, since these observers started engaging elections, you see so many things happening, so many good things happening in our electoral system. The devices we are using today, the place we are this year is not the place we are in 2015. So the observers are really working. And also
and you're saying that the reports are being used, maybe
yes, to some extent,
upgrade
yes,
what we already have on ground.
The system. To some extent, the observers' reports are being used to get the system upgraded.
So we're improving.
We are improving on that area. So, but another thing is this: you can't give them 100%, because some observers are there to, you observe, you turn the news upside down to give a negative report. So what I'm trying to say is, so far so good on observers, based on the devices we are using today from INEC and also the entire.
All right, let's take the Punch newspapers for next on the review line.
All right, series making the headlines on the Punch newspapers this morning. On Noggin to challenge suspension in court. Buhari invites APC senators to Villa over CJN suspension. NBA holds an emergency NEC meeting today. NJC meets Tuesday. AMCON recovered 1 trillion from debtors in 8 years. Federal government. Police retired Deputy Inspector General. We also have Ekiti to arrest parents of pupils hawking during school hours. APC removes Okorocha as Imo campaign coordinator. Sibanjo APC Southwest will voters for Buhari. Strike. ASU denies receiving 163 billion naira from federal government. Reduce vehicle import tariff to 15%. LCCI urges federal government. Family demands justice as police bullet paralyzes estate agent. How Lagos prophet hypnotized, defrauded mayor 59.7 million. That's coming from a victim. But let's look at this big story. Ekiti to arrest parents of pupils hawking during school hours. That should be encouraged. I want to encourage. I want to encourage Ekiti's government for that. When school is on, the pupils allow your children to be moving around to hawk. It's not a good one. I think Anambra State has grown, has handled that.
They've really tried.
They've handled that angle. I can't see. Barely you see children hawking
during school hours.
In Anambra now. It's barely. Even if they are still there, it's 1 or 2.
Strike. ASU denies receiving 163 billion naira from federal government. Of course, the strike has been on for a while now, and there are a lot of stories making the round that the federal government has given a particular sum to ASU.
Well, that could be, maybe is the reason why some of the universities are said to be illegal. Anything can happen in this country. So if they are denying, you can't deny this kind of a thing. The only thing is to go to the bank or go to the the institution that approves the money, get it out, let the public know about it
quickly. Let's talk.
So such money is not something that you can hide, you can deny. Is there anybody that are you trying to say nobody signed the money?
It's not documented or something.
No documentation about the money, about the transactions. So they should come up with the good news.
I think it's important we take this story. How Lagos prophet hypnotized, defrauded me over 59.7 million naira. Ndi Igbo si no onye orimile fulu okwu ya koneli, and because of what we see today, these days in the name of prophets, I think people should be. I will comment on it.
People should be careful now. You've started it. A lot of prophecies are going on. In 2015, before election 2015, we had a lot of 30-something prophecies that this one will happen. They will throw bomb in Medugri, they will throw in Anambra, they will throw in Imo, and all of that. And people also still engage themselves in prophecies that will bring them to abject poverty. When you meet a man of God that will say, "You, in the name of Jesus, in the morning you will get a Venza," you know it's not possible. And you want to throw yourself to him. And when you throw yourself to him, he will eat you up.
All right, let's run. The Guardian newspaper is next, and that's the last paper.
So Nigeria should be very careful.
But not the least. The big story in front of the Guardian says NJC meets today without Onoge Mohammed with a rider there. NBA holds emergency meeting over CJN's fate, how suspension may erode investors' confidence. Experts see market sell-off, capital flight, others. Now up here we have CUPP warns of plot to change National Assembly leadership tomorrow. I don't know how possible this could be. Purge in police as IGP retired 7 DIGs. We've seen that. Let's look at the story of CUPP warning of plot to change National Assembly leadership tomorrow.
I think I've seen that on the social media, and even yesterday night I saw it on channels and AIT when it's being aired. You know, one thing is certain. Ndị Igbo si na oke nọ n'ụlọ na agwa oke nọ n'ama na azụ dị na ngịga. So for CUPP to come up with such information, it's we will not joke with it. Like I said earlier, this country is where anything happens and anybody can go. You get away with it. You default, you fault, you do a lot of things. You even kill somebody. The next morning, you will be picked today. The next morning, you are out.
And finally...
So what, sorry, what I'm trying to say there is, this message, this information should not be taken for granted.
All right.
Nigerians are watching.
All right, let's take that picture on the in the front of the Guardian newspapers. That's a prayer session going on there. You know, Nigeria is a very religious country. You know, they're praying. It's they call it Armed Forces Thanksgiving service that was held yesterday. You can see in front of that place a lot of personnel there. One of them is Senator Daisy Danjuma, former Minister of Defense. Theophilus Danjuma is also there, you know, and we pray so much, and I don't really know, does the result we get, does it how do we compare the results we get with so much prayers going on in this nation?
One thing is this, it's good to pray, but I think we need to act more, and then what's it called? Back it up with prayers. Actions is needed. So when we are praying, the Bible says, pray and watch. If you want to analyze the watch includes action. So like St. James said, he said, good work, prayers without good work is nothing. So Nigerians, we should be praying fine, but we should act. Actions will take more of our dealings this time.
All right. I think that's the much you can take on the newspaper review for today, Monday, the 28th day of January 2019. We'd like to appreciate you, Mr. Nonso Orakwe, for coming to analyze the papers for us. Thank you so much for your time.
Thank you very much, viewers. Get your voters card ready.